Matt. So good to see you. Matt, your email the other day was fabulous. All the great ideas that you have. That brain of yours just keeps going. Chase, Kelly, Margaret. Oh my goodness, look at everybody. Ronnie, there you are. All of you constantly CD, and of course, all the AI guys that are on here, they all look the same. I mean, that's the one thing about AI. It can't build relationships. It has no achievement and it all looks the same, so to speak. I don't know about you. I see those emails come across and they all look the same. I mean, the if you can't tell a thing written by AI anymore, you're almost crazy, right? So let's get down to some business here. Ask for some wins is what I wrote down. What are some wins that y'all have? What have you learned through all of this? What are some things that you're learning? And you can
Oh,
put it in the
Nikki.
chat, or you can actually
Yeah, Nikki has her hand up. Nikki.
And this is going to sound crazy because what was it, 2010? I was a single mom. I moved 170 miles away from everybody I knew and loved. Joined a team at Keller Williams as a buyer's agent, and I didn't even know anybody. I didn't know where I was. And I took this class, and this lady came out, and she was a single mom who said she built a company. And you know what? My daughter is 20 years old today. And Diana,
oh
you know the story, but it is just a huge win to say, wow, look, I am sitting here today just so full of gratitude.
wow.
She's a
And your
college
daughter's
student,
20 years old.
20
Look
years
at
old
that.
today. She
Well,
was
happy
3 years
birthday.
old when I started following with you, Diana, and learning from you. She was 3 and she's 20 today. And now you talk about a win, and just my whole body just flooded with gratitude to be like, wow, yeah, right. She's 20 today.
Wow.
She was started when
Yes.
she was 3, and she knows you, like she knows those laws, and look how fierce she is because she was influenced so much. I'm so full of gratitude today. Thank you.
Oh, well, you know what? She is one powerful lady. That is for certain. And when you think about that, when you talked about, man, I didn't feel that old. Ronnie, you're up. What win do you have? You've always got wins.
So I realized I'm in the right place. Last week's call was top two. And I remembered this week to bring the popcorn because it was so good. And I'm telling you, I've been talking about it all week, how good that was. The way you broke things down, kept calm, cool. You taught us all again that it's not about selling real estate. It's sticking to a schedule. The schedule of ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. And
You
thank
know,
you so
isn't it
much.
interesting how that works? And, I said we wanted to get to 100 people. Well, last week, unbeknownst to me, we had 111 people on the Zoom call. So you guys made it happen. Woohoo! And here's the other part, because we are live streaming this every week now on live streaming, social media, whatever you want to say. We had 2,891 people join us. So if I can figure this thing out, let's see. They gave it went the wrong way. I came out this end and it came out. I'll have to do it next week. It has little $100 bills, and they are now all over the floor. If you can see this, that is if you were if you were on the book club, then you saw it where it didn't work at all. I had to pull it out of there and stream it out. This one really worked, and it's so cute. I mean, literally, I have hundreds of these little dogs all over the in the office right now. And do you remember the money? I'm a money magnet. I'm a money magnet. I'm a money magnet. I'm a money magnet. Well, we have to do that every week. I'll just have to keep these things and we'll have to do that because each and every one of you are a money magnet. The other thing about money I thought about, and this is my new phrase that I'm using everywhere, and I've thought about it a lot: invest in yourself until you're the most expensive thing you own. Think about that. And that is something that the good Lord taught me. Invest in yourself until you are the most expensive thing you own, and not invest in a way of buying yourself new cars and new clothes and new this and new that. Up here, investing in that brain. And today we want to talk about story. What story are you making up about money? What story are you making up about yourself? Because, see, we have an internal story and then we have an external story. And the internal story is that we are realtors, right? And it's how many homes we sell. It's not about volume when it's internal, it's about how many homes we sell. And by the way, it is realtor. Can we all say that? Realtor. It's not realtor. There is no A there. It drives me crazy when people don't even know who they are. We are realtors. And the other part, though, is external. We have to talk about volume because, see, a lot of people, they still call themselves a realtor externally. Internally, great. Externally, let's go be business people. Because, see, I never had anybody come to me and say, wow, I want to take a business class from a realtor. Never had that. And then I thought, why not? We are business people. And you have volume. Tony was telling me last night that he says, if you compare it to McDonald's, Tony, you're on the phone.
Yes.
Why don't you say it? You said it best last night. I loved it. And I keep
Okay.
dropping money here.
So here's what Diana and I were talking about. People see us as realtors rather than seeing us as business people. And if you really think about it, if you did $30 million a year in volume, how many businesses in your area do $30 million in sales? You do 30 million in sales. That would be equivalent to probably 10 McDonald's. So if we just look at ourselves as business people and look at the businesses we do, you're probably one of the biggest businesses in your area. And
Yeah.
we don't think that way. We think about another deal and another commission rather than looking at the big picture. And when we communicate with people, especially with our allied resources, you're probably bigger than all those businesses. In some cases, you might be bigger than all of them together. But here's an interesting thing. I just read an article 2 days ago. This was a plumber. It was a plumbing company. They just sold their company for $1.7 billion.
That's with a B.
That's
Tyler,
with
I
a
saw you go, wow. Matt, I saw your eyes go open a little bit wider, and mine did too. We're
so
not
so
thinking
if,
big
if we
enough.
think about that, if we think about ourselves as business people, our relationship with our allied resources will be different because they're
That's
going to see
exactly
us
right.
as a business person. We just have a bigger product. If I sold a $100 million computer to somebody, that would be $100 million in volume. So,
Yep.
any questions that you have on how to start thinking like a business person and communicating with your public, especially your allied resources, as a business person,
Yeah.
as a
Because,
company
yeah, see,
doing 10 million, 15 million.
we want you to start thinking like business people. And when you're out there on the listing appointment, which is very, very important. And, a lot of people, I was talking with Matt through email the other day, and a lot of people say, oh, Diana, they've been saying, you're so old and your listing presentation is old, and they're right. You know what? I am getting older. And my listing presentation from way back when is old. And so, literally, Matt, I took your advice and I ripped it up and I rewrote it. That's why we're redoing the listing presentation. Because, see, the listing right now, I've learned so much about the brain that we've got to get into their unconscious mind. And I've told you all that we have to think in stories and speak in stories. And that's why today is about the story. And of course, I love models. So I came up with a new model. You might want to write this down. We'll be teaching this in the script class as well. Yet I call it the best model. Why is it the best model? Because it's the best. That's why. I don't make junk. I never have made junk. And you begin with a hook. B is for begin with a hook. Secondly, E stands for explain the point. Explain what you're desiring to explain. And then S is for show an example. Tell them about John and Margie or Stefano's or Nikki, and about how her daughter at 20 years old today, celebrating her birthday, and she grew up with affirmations and learning about the brain and how, I mean, she's excelling. Because Nikki, I know you share with me, she's excelling in everything that she does. Why? Because she trained her brain from the age of 3 how to think. And then, of course, T is teach the takeaway. What do you want them to take away from it? So, are you giving stories during your presentation that are the best stories? And who are you learning from? Because, see, when it really comes to the old listing presentations, I'll bet you some of them are still doing the Mike Ferry one. And that one was around for about 50 years ago. And yet they're saying that it's new. I had somebody tell me a couple of years ago, I came up with the greatest idea. I'm having everybody, all my clients, come to the movie theater and we're showing a movie. And I went, yeah, okay. I mean, we used to have those back in the 90s that we did that. I mean, when Harry Potter came out, that was about the 5th one I did. And we actually had an owl. We had a person come in, and please, Tony, you know what they're called. The bird people is what I called them.
Yeah.
And they literally brought in hawks, and they brought in an eagle. It was amazing. And they talked about these birds. And then the owl is what they ended up with because of Harry Potter and whatnot. And the kids loved it. The parents loved it. And yet somebody thought that was brand new. I told Tony, we got to get out all those things that we used to do, like the pancake breakfasts and everything for all of the people. In fact, the pancake breakfast that I did and started, we actually ended up having the entire office do. And we had to have police officers directing traffic. It went from 6 a.m. until 11 a.m., and it was a constant flow of people from our community learning about us, who we were, and giving back. So, whatever you do, think about the good old days, or sometimes the good old days. Yet, what story are you making up? Now, 70% of the agents last year did not do a deal. That's National Association statistics. 0.14% sold 45 homes or more. 0.14%. So I want to have you guys literally get a lot of deals. Put out there in the chat where you're from, and let's start getting some referrals going. Because this is crazy not to have a community and to not know where everybody's from. Very quick unmute unless you've got a lot of noise in the background. I'm going to call out your name and you're going to holler where you're from. And I'm not going to do this with everybody. We're just going to have some fun here to get some popcorn going, because Ronnie's got his popcorn. You reminded me of that. So as I call out your name very, very quickly, if you're unmuted, I'll call you and you tell us where you're from. Nothing else, just the name of the city and state you are from. Got it? All right, here we go. Nikki.
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Chase,
Houston, Texas.
Cindy, or CD,
Birmingham, Alabama.
Margaret.
Tampa, Florida.
See here. I'm looking for the ones that are unmuted. Jeannie.
Dunwoody, Georgia.
Kim.
New Orleans, Louisiana.
Lisa.
Marietta, Georgia.
Sherry.
Augusta, Georgia.
Priyanka.
Metro Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, Deborah.
As in Deborah Tilton?
Yes, yes.
Oh, Cary, North Carolina.
You know what? When it comes to a name like that, Deborah, I should absolutely say the last name. Thanks for helping me. Claudia.
Terry Hill, New Jersey.
Okay, Melanie.
DC Metro.
Get all of these people. Another Claudia Willick.
Houston, Texas.
We got a lot of Texans, a lot of Georgians. We got one from Birmingham, Alabama. Tania.
Tania, Plainfield, New Jersey.
Tania, thank you for helping me out. Names are so doggone important. Well, see, I want you all to get referrals and I want you to get your questions answered. And I want you to think about the story that you're telling about yourself as well as the stories you're telling to others. And the stories that you've told me is the script class needs to have more scripts. So what we're going to be doing is actually putting a script up on the screen, starting with the second session and going through the tonality, how you use it, how you can build rapport with it, etc. And I've got to tell everyone that signed up already, thank you. And I have to make a change. You know what? Somehow, some way, I got double booked. And therefore, on Wednesday, we're going to be having it earlier and we'll call each individual people. But it starts at 11:30 to 12:30, then VIP 12:30 to 1:30. On Wednesday, though, we're going to start at 9:30 a.m., going till 10:30, and VIP 10:30 to 11:30. Then we're right back on track on Thursday. The reason, and I so apologize, and yet if you can't make it, we will record it, send it out to everybody, and we'll leave it up for through the July 4th weekend and everything up until maybe the 6th. I think that gives you plenty of time to watch it. Okay, so that'll help everyone, and I do apologize for that. Let's get into some questions here. Let's go, because last week we had a lot of fun.
Good morning, Diana. I am excited just to be here today. Thank you so much just for doing this every Tuesday. My question is in regards to quick response type leads. So for example, a buyer reaches out and says, I'm going to be in town. They're out of state. I'm be in town. I want to know if you could show us a few homes while we're in town. And so how do we capture and kind of set expectations so that way we're business women and not just, oh, you're in town. Let me just show you a couple of homes.
Well, I love that. And so basically asking a lot of questions up front, which I know you do. And questions like, when will you be moving here? What time do you have to close? What are you looking for? Have you seen any properties that you like? What prevented you from buying those properties? Now, folks, if you're in an open house or with anyone, please ask that question. Because see, sometimes people, you probably don't think about this, yet sometimes people buy a home and they wonder if they got a good price. Well, they can't go to the realtor that they just bought a home from and say, hey, show me some other homes to make sure that I got a good deal. Yet they'll go to another realtor and ask them to show them around, and the realtor runs out and shows them around, and then they never hear from them again. Well, yeah, because the people decided they got a good deal and they used you as the taxi cab or Uber driver to take them around, show them inside the houses, and make certain that that deal was good. Now, I know that sounds really weird that people would take their time to do it, yet they've done it. I've heard from other agents. Man, I didn't even realize. So always ask them, have you seen any homes that you liked? And if they said yes, then what prevented you from purchasing that home, right? Let's get all the stuff out. I don't think we ask enough questions. So here they are in town. They want you to take them around for a couple of days, and you do a buyer consultation with them in regards to how soon do you have to be here? When does the closing have to take place? Do you have a moving company all ready to go? Are you moving here because of a job transfer? You know, the why, the why, the why. What will that do for you? All of those questions before we take them out. And then when we do take them out, you don't leave them very often, let me tell you, because they'll be out with somebody else unless you get that buyer agency signed right away, which I trust that you will. Because when I'm out of state and I want to look at homes and I need to buy something quickly, I'm going to be looking at everything I possibly can. And sometimes, literally, I would have people, I did this at an open house and I did it with relocation people. Hey, let's stop by for an ice cream sundae or something when I was ready to drop them off, right? Because if they had driven to the office, I wanted them to take that ice cream and go home. Maybe even buy them a half a gallon of ice cream, right? So they had to go put it in the freezer. At the open houses, I did bring half gallons of ice cream. And when somebody was a really good prospect and they would be willing to go out and look at homes with me later that day, I gave them a half gallon of ice cream. I didn't want them out looking at other homes, driving around, seeing open houses that maybe they liked something, right? I wanted to get with them. So be thinking about how you can get people to stay with you. Now, a buyer agency is always good, and that's the best. But back in the day, we didn't have those things at first. So you can also combine the two. I know it sounds a little weird, yet be thinking, you guys think outside the box and say, what could I do to get these people to absolutely fall in love with me? And the story that you could tell is going right back to that begin with a hook. Has there ever been a time in your life that you ended up with something you really didn't need or didn't want? That's a hook. That's a generalization that if somebody, I mean, let me ask you, has there ever been a time in your life that you bought something that you ended up with, you either didn't work or you didn't like it or you wish you would have never bought it? I mean, come on, we've all had that. Then you go to explain the point. The reason I bring that up is you could be out looking at things and end up with a home not knowing that the best one is still out there. An example of that was I had some folks, they were from out of state and they started looking all over the place and they found a home that they kind of liked and they were really in a rush and they ended up with that house instead of having a realtor like me, person that knows the business, knows the inventory, knows what's out there to find them the very best home. Well, they almost put it under contract. Now, don't tell stories that aren't true. Let me just tell you this, okay? Because it'll come across it's not true. And I'm thinking of somebody that was a relocation buyer that I ended up with many after they had been out with somebody, and they almost bought the house. And they house that I was holding. They said they were going to be purchasing this home. And as they talked with me about what they desired, I said, you know what? I think you need to look at this one other house before making that decision. Well, they looked at it, they loved it. And oh my goodness, to this day, they absolutely love me because I was able to find them the right home. And you do want to find the right home, right? Now, that is a story that went through. You begin with a hook. I explained the point. I showed an example and I taught them the takeaway I wanted them to get. So just follow that model. It's amazing and it gets into their unconscious brain. Now, I would have probably leaned forward a little bit more and I had this microphone here and I would have really looked in their eyes. You know what concerns me about that? Seeing you lower your voice. Tonality is so important when you're speaking with people because you've got to be sincere and it's got to come from the heart. The heart actually has neurons in it. We think with our heart. In fact, our entire body has neurons all over it. That's why the brain talks to the body and the body talks to the brain. And they intertwine and work with each other. So we've got to get into that unconscious mind And if you watched one of my videos that I did on social media, it was where I took the brain apart and started showing about how, we all have a thalamus in our brain, our clients do too. And the thalamus sends out something. You say it, bam, they have some type of a reaction. They're hearing everything that you say, like you're hearing what I say. The thalamus takes it to the emotional part of the brain, to the amygdala, much faster than it takes it to the logical side of the brain. You get that? So everything goes emotional before it goes logical.
Wow.
We, as business people, have to learn how to take a breath so we don't go to the emotion. We allow that thought to get to the logical side first, and then we can respond. Otherwise, we may be triggered. That's why a lot of people on objections, they go on the defense because they haven't trained their brain how to work to where they take that breath and they think about it before they react to it. Because if you go on the defense with somebody, you've already lost. You've already lost. So I hope that helps you. I trust that that gave you some things to think about, Chase. And the main thing is don't put them in your car until you know exactly why you're putting them in your car. Okay. Or that they're following you around. All right, Jeannie, you're up.
I wanted to say one thing to Chase. I'm always heavy on the listing side, and I'm getting a lot of these scam emails. So I don't know if your question was kind of responsive. Someone has reached out to you and they've asked you, "Oh, I'm going to be in town. I'm looking for an agent. Can you meet me on a Zoom call?" And that Zoom link looks like a real link, but really what you're doing is giving them access to your computer and they're going to hack you. So never respond if someone gets you. This is to all of us. If someone sends you something like that, 99% of the time that is a scam. But you can always say, "Well, I'll invite you. Let me send the link." And that usually stops them because they don't, they realize
Ooh,
you're on top
that's
of it.
so
But
good.
just be aware that there is a scam, that they're targeting real estate agents.
Wow. Let me just tell you, folks, this call, that one thought was worth this entire call. Now, maybe you already knew that, maybe you didn't yet think about it, because who wouldn't think, oh man, especially if you're brand new, you get excited. I got a buyer. Oh man, they want me to get on a Zoom. Woohoo. And there we are. And then they're taking control instead of you. That is the one thing. Remember, when we ask questions, we have control.
Yeah.
And if you're a control freak, I'm a recovering control freak. And when it comes to a listing or a presentation, I want to be in control. That's when I do want to be a control freak. Okay. The one, oh my goodness. Yep, I got the email last week. I told them I would send them my link. Of course, they disappeared. Me too. This one I have not recovered. Wow. Guys, I'm telling you, this is so worth it. Just that one thought alone. Let's go back into the stories, because I want to know the stories you tell yourself. Right now, I believe that the main reason that a lot of realtors are not selling homes is because of the stories they're telling themselves. Stories about how somebody's going to reject them if they make a phone call. They don't want to ask them because that's coming on too strong. And let me ask you a question. If you're concerned about you being rejected, you're concerned about you coming on too strong, if you're concerned about how they will think of you, who's that about, you or them?
You.
About you.
Yeah.
And then people say, oh no, I really care about the clients. And I say, oh, bull hockey, that's ridiculous. You don't care about the clients, you care about yourself. You don't dare say what needs to be said. You don't dare ask them the questions because you're thinking about you and how you'll come across.
Yeah.
And therefore, when it's about you, you'll never win. It has to be about them, about caring so much about them. And yeah, I've had some people, they don't like me because my standards were high and I cared so much about them. I desired for them to become all they could be. Some people won't like you for wanting you to become, for them to become all they can be because they're resisting it. They don't believe they deserve it. So my question to you today is, what do you deserve? If I had you
Dianna?
write it down, what do you deserve? Tyler's up here. Tyler, let's take your question here or your comment.
In response to the question you had just asked, what's the story you're telling? The one that I tell myself and I share with clients is from Warren Buffett. It's be aggressive when others are fearful and fearful when others are aggressive. So in a market
That's
like right
good.
now, when everybody's saying I'm not buying or I'm not going to purchase or insurance rates are too high, that's the time to be entering the market. And when everybody's active and thinks it's a great time because insurance rates dip or anything else, that's the time to be fearful.
You know what? That is such a good quote. Are you guys getting this? This is
Yeah.
such a great call. Everybody, we learn from everybody. Thank you, Tyler. That's fabulous. And Claudia, this is the last one.
Thank you. I have a listing in which, in theory, it should be sold, but the quality of the work that was done was not there. It was done by my client and his family instead of professionals. So it looks amazing on the pictures, the price supports it. More expensive properties have been sold, but it looks terrible from up close. And I haven't had the nerve to tell him that. How do I say that?
Well, how many showings have you had on it, Claudia?
About 10.
Okay, 10 showings, no offers means a price reduction.
Which we already reduced the price, you know, like
Well, you have to reduce it again, or you have to give the quality. So one of the things that you might say is, has there ever been a time that you purchased something and you thought the quality was there because online, you know, it looks really good. And then you get it and the quality isn't quite there. Well, this time may be like that time. See, I know that the quality and the craftsmanship, what I'm getting back from the other people is that the craftsmanship and the quality is not here. So we have to reduce the price to make up for that, or we have to bring a professional in to make it up to standard. So which would you prefer to do? Lower the price or bring the quality up to standard?
Okay.
Yep. Always
Yeah,
pose it as a
here's something you may say even before is that, Claudia, I know you did a lot of the work yourself. And congratulations for me. That's fabulous. I love to save money. And if at any time I'm telling you the truth, you're probably going to feel uncomfortable. And I got to tell you, I feel a little uncomfortable now because I have to give you the feedback. You want honest feedback from what the realtors and the other people are saying, don't you? What do you think they're going to say? No, I don't want honest feedback. No, they're going to say yes. Well, the feedback I'm receiving is the craftsmanship and the quality is not there to justify the price. And therefore, we can either do one of two things. We can either bring in professionals to make the craftsmanship go up so we get the price, or we lower the price so someone else can then bring in the craftsmanship and get it done. Which do you prefer? Lower the price or bring someone in? And I'm
Should I?
sorry I had to tell you that.
Yeah.
That is the feedback, though, and I'll never lie to you. I'll never lie to you. You want an agent to tell you the truth, right? Always end with what they want. You want an agent that tells you the truth, right? And when they say yes, you can once again say, well, that was hard feedback for me to give you. I'm so sorry I had to give it, yet you had to hear it. Because I want your home to sell just like you do. I want you to have that dream home or wherever they're going. I'm here to help you accomplish your goal. That's it. And sometimes the hard truth is really tough to deliver and it's really tough to hear.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And remember, this is all about money. So now, guess what? We're going to 3,000 people. That's our next goal. We're almost there. See you later. Bye-bye.
Amen. Bye, Diana. Thank you.
Thanks.